Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my E3 conference coverage video. But first, before I start this video, I wanted to talk about the Super Mario Maker 2 Invitational that I was at this past weekend. Now, in case you guys don't care about that, here's the time code. You can jump ahead and start watching my conference stuff. But I wanted to talk about the Invitational. It's important to me, and, you know, I got to go because of you guys at home. So for those of you guys who don't know, I got invited to the Mario Maker 2 Invitational, and it was a really cool event. I got to compete to win this championship. So it was me, the Dragon Feeny, Abdallah, and B. It was the four of us in this invitational, and we were nervous, we were excited. We spent the weekend together, getting to know each other, and really playing a lot of Mario Maker in my hotel room, practicing for the event. And there's just two things I want to talk about the event. If you guys want to hear more about it, you can message me on Twitter or write in the comments, and I'll make a whole video about it on a second channel or something like that, because I want to keep it about the games, but this was also very important to me. The two things that happened were, one, if I got second place in the whole thing, but in the first round, I got destroyed hardcore, and there was no way for me to explain why. But I could tell you something was happening to me that definitely made it hard for me to even communicate or do anything throughout the tournament. And a lot of it was that I had a panic attack. If you look back at the footage, which I'm sure there's a shot of it right now, you'll see that my face went white and my hand stopped moving, and I just kind of got lost in my own thoughts, and it was scary. It was very, very scary. I took off the mask. I couldn't see anything. I was blinded by everything going on. My heart was racing, and I got destroyed, and the pressure was real. And I know that I got bodied all over the internet for it, and it was a bit depressing. A lot of pressure's there when you're part of this four-man group doing this thing, and everyone has been telling you all week long that you're not good enough or that you don't represent the Mario Maker community enough. And I kind of snapped out of it, you know. Bradley, my friend and editor of the show, of the Completionist and New Game Plus and stuff, he was in the crowd above, and just seeing him, I talked to him, even though he couldn't hear me. I just was having conversation with him, and it made me feel better. I got through the rest of the tournament, and I came back and I almost won. It was a surreal experience, and I'm glad that I woke up from it, but I definitely had a lot of emotions that were scary and weird, and I'm really grateful that I kind of pulled it out at the last minute. The second thing I want to talk about is the moment that I've been getting a lot of flack for, which was the moment that Abdallah decided to teabag me in the finals. There was a moment where he beat me in one of the mini relay race rounds, or the mini clear conditions rounds. He teabagged me at the end, and it was a memeable moment. Everyone was making fun of me. It's really weird because I'm the big fish in all this. I was the biggest creator there, and to get the most flack was the most fascinating thing, because I feel like with you guys at home, you know me and what I've been about and what I've been pushing for positivity and focusedness and good times and good vibes, and to kind of feel that blowback throughout the audience and in real time and stuff was chaotic. I wasn't mad at Abdallah. I just kind of brought it up afterwards because I mostly didn't realize he did what he did. So please don't go after him. Don't bother him. He did it as a joke. It did hurt my feelings at first, but looking back and thinking about it now, it didn't, because in the next round, I roasted his ass, so I don't feel that bad. I didn't win the tournament, but I did have an awesome time, and I'd love to talk about it more, and if you want to hear about more, let me know. So now that I've splurged that, let's talk about the conferences. As of right now, it's 2 in the morning. I have not filmed the Nintendo one yet, because the Nintendo one comes out in about 7 hours. So I'm reacting to everything. I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm not going to focus on everything. I'm just going to focus on what I felt was important to me and what I want to talk about from there. Or maybe what wasn't important to me and why. But I do want to kind of set the stakes for one or two things, in that these conferences this year kind of solidified a few things for me. One, games as a service is now a thing more than ever. What I mean by that is, we had a lot of games throughout all these conferences that were getting a lot of supports and updates. Most of them were free, most of them if you had a pass or required an expansion purchase, and which is I'm fine with, but it's getting a little chaotic because we're at a point now where we're not getting new games so often as we could be, and instead we're getting a lot of games that are getting maintenance because of maybe bad developer choices or, you know, complications in coding or new innovations within those games. And the biggest thing that I got from it too, and my second point, is games as a service when it comes to cloud gaming, because it's cloud gaming and subscription services. It seemed like almost every company had something to say about Google Stadia, or Stadia for some of you, maybe for everyone. You know, some kind of cloud service for the companies, some kind of subscription services when it comes to games. Ubisoft's launching one, Xbox Game Pass is getting an upgrade, and I just thought it was really weird, and that's kind of the common theme I saw throughout a lot of these conferences. So with that said, let's talk about EA. Okay, so with EA, we had Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which looks awesome. I really like the action platforming. It kind of reminds me of The Force Unleashed meets Bionic Commando, which was a PS3, Xbox 360 game that a lot of people hated, but I really dug the swinging mechanics and kind of the free flow motion of it all. So to see that mixed with The Force Unleashed makes me really excited. I know that everyone kind of shuns EA and the developers, but I think Respawn's in charge. They're pretty smart. They make great games, so I'm excited to see, obviously, a lot more of that. From there, we kind of got the standard fare of what EA offers. You have things like Madden, Battlefield, FIFA. We got some updates to Apex Legends, which were pretty cool for the next season and new characters. And then, of course, rounding it all off with Sims 4. Overall, not for me so much. My favorite EA titles were things like Mirror's Edge and Dead Space, Dante's Inferno, stuff like that. And those franchises are long gone, or, you know, sold off or quit. You know, Mirror's Edge 3 maybe someday, I don't know. But overall, to me, the big winner in all of this was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That looks the most fun. I'm excited to play that. So Xbox. I was actually in the audience for the Microsoft Nokia Theater. Microsoft Theater nowadays. It was fun. Good energy, good vibes, good times. Really enjoyed it. I'm trying not to grade the actual conferences for like A, B, C, but I really just want to go for overall vibe and feel. They showed off around 60 games, and a lot of them were quick and newer on the indie side, which was really cool. They focused on some of their core titles. A lot of the conferences focused on the studios that are now owned by Microsoft and the titles that they're working on, which is totally fine. This is a Microsoft press conference, and I know everyone likes to judge these guys for their conferences, but hey, at least we're not sitting there talking about cable TV anymore or sports packages when it comes to the Xbox One. Cyberpunk is sick. I'm really excited to play it, to try it out. Keanu Reeves being a part of the cast is super cool. I think we all kind of freaked out when we saw him come out stage. John Wick has been incredible, so to see him be involved in Cyberpunk is just a win. Double Fine was purchased by Microsoft, which I think is a smart move considering how Tim Schafer has been making these games, and through Kickstarter and through private funding. So to have Microsoft kind of, you know, give the funding that Tim Schafer needs to make the games that he wants is kind of reassurance that he can focus on the creative part and not so much the business part. I know that controversial-wise, he's been in hot water over the years for how he handled Broken Age and even Psychonauts 2, but now they're owned by Microsoft. Psychonauts can come out in a timely manner, I believe, and there was a trailer for Psychonauts 2, which is kind of exciting. There were a whole bunch of indie games, but I think the one that I really was interested to look at was 12 Minutes. 12 Minutes was a game. It is a game about a guy who's stuck in a time loop, and he basically, it's this moment with his wife where she's about to tell him that she's pregnant, and she gives him a gift, and that gift is a baby outfit, but then an assailant comes in the room to basically kill them. And in a similar Groundhog's Day fashion, he tries to tell her everything in advance to prevent this from going on. And I thought it's really cool. It's a really interesting concept. I'd love to play that on Scary Game Squad with the boys. There was a trailer for Battletoads. Now, I love Battletoads, and I say this in the nicest way possible. It almost feels and looks like a Flash game, and I mean that in a really endearing way. And everything about it looks fluid, and it looks, you know, really slick and clean. but I'm not a big fan of the art style they went with or the design of the characters. So I hope that at the end of the day, that the gameplay is really something. Obviously, Gears 5 was a huge focus for Microsoft in this conference. It looks really cool. The gameplay looks really fun. I enjoyed the Pyro show, even though it felt unwarranted and random. Shoutouts to Xavier Woods, my boy, in the WWE, Up, Up, Down, Down, for being there in the conference and kind of being a part of it and getting to play Gears 5 for his channel. Super exciting. You guys should go check him out and subscribe. He makes some pretty great content. But also, real quick, why was there a Terminator Dark Fate brand deal? We got a couple of cool fan favorite franchises that are being brought back or reintroduced to the Xbox One. More specifically, we got an announcement of Phantasy Star Online 2, which is huge for that franchise and the people that play that game. There's a massive online following that's been playing this game for years. A new Tales game was announced, which looks kind of anime as it does, and it looks fun. But the one that I'm personally really excited for is Ori 2. That game looks great. I recently completed Ori and the Blind Forest earlier this year, and I met the devs last year at E3, and it just made me want to play the game more. So I'm excited to see how far it's come. It's looking much better than last year, and that's saying a lot because the game looked great already. And of course, Microsoft talked about hardware coming out next year, revealing numbers, specs, and all that stuff seemed fine, but you know, it's all ones and zeros to me, so it's not that important. You know, I think once we see it in action, it'll be much more important to me. But Halo ended up rounding things out, and that was really exciting to see kind of the direction that Halo's going. But personally, I respect Halo a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of the games, and I think it's because I'm not a big FPS guy. So when I get to completing the Master Chief Collection one day, I'm sure I'll have a better appreciation for it. So I guess I'm really excited for Halo fans, but personally I'm probably not going to be playing it. Alright, Bethesda. So I missed this on camera. I was not watching it because I was at the Final Fantasy VII concert, which I loved. Such an honor to go to that, especially towards the end, the cool announcement there, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So Todd Howard came out and showcased a lot of mobile games that Bethesda's been working on, specifically Elder Scrolls Blades, which has been out, and that's coming to Switch, which makes sense, I guess, because it is a mobile game. It's kind of weird because people were really dogging on Fallout 76, yours truly included, and I believe it's warranted. The game did not have a great launch and just did not run well, and it kind of was that way for quite some time. But Bethesda came out swinging, apologizing, and making it known that moving forward they were trying to better the game for their audience. And I got the vibe they were trying to really apologize and do good by updating all this extra stuff without charging more money for it. And I'm glad that they're taking that approach and owning up to their choices. But again, the internet is the internet, and everyone's either not caring or lackadaisical towards it, or just, you know, ready to dunk because it's Todd Howard and Fallout 76. So, I don't know. Personally, I'm not going to revisit Fallout 76, but I think it's important that they took the time to make that effort for the fans that did buy Fallout. So Shinji Mikami came out, you know, director of Resident Evil games and obviously The Evil Within, and introduced one of his proteges to the world, Ikumi Nakamura, and she's directing this game called Ghostwire Tokyo. The cool thing about her is that she had this great bubbly personality that really made me excited to see her game and to hear her talk about it, because you can tell that it's her passion and she loves this game and it's been her lifeblood. The only problem is that there's cutscenes to show, you know, cinematic intros, and that's not to say it's a bad thing, but I feel like if you are introducing a new IP or getting people excited for your game, that you should have some gameplay kind of presented, or at least something rough to show off. And you know, I'm sure it's going to be fun in the end. It's going to be great. It's, you know, kind of this Thanos horror game, if you will. But yeah, you know, I think her passion alone sold me on the game. I got to see gameplay, and that's kind of the theme I have here. I have to see gameplay. Commander Keen, the mobile game, is coming out, which is kind of cool. I haven't really played Commander Keen since I was a kid, and I feel like they could have just made it a Switch game at that point, because mobile games aren't really for me, but I'm not going to control Bethesda to do that. They got to do them. The game looks cool. I hope people play it. More updates on games like Rage 2, Elder Scrolls Online, things like that. And then we obviously had the Orion bit, as I said earlier, games as a service, cloud gaming, coming to this whole aspect of Bethesda and how they make games. Microsoft did the same thing too with the xCloud services, and you know, again, games as a service. That's the subscription model. That service, they're trying to make more money. They're trying to grow their business. I support it. I don't think the tech is there yet, though. So we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. And their conference ended with Doom Eternal, which I think was a strong way to end the conference. If I was them, I would have started with Doom Eternal just because the gameplay is hype and it gets people excited and it looks fun. Really excited to see the new modes and features they're kind of introducing into Doom Eternal. It doesn't look... It feels kind of like... it looks like Demons and Angels in a way. It's more like Diablo-ish in that way, but the violence is still there. The mechanics of the first game are still there. I am really pumped to see where they take this bad boy. Okay, so Devolver. Admittedly, I didn't get a chance to watch all of this, so I'm going to talk about the two things I thought were really important for me. One, I loved their bootleg suite of games about themselves. It's currently one of the highest rated games on Steam. You can get it right now. It's available with a 1% discount. It's a good bid, boys. I think it's really funny. The games are actually well crafted for what they are. They're like weird demakes and like bootleg versions of Devolver games. I think that's really clever and really fun. And second, Enter the Gungeon is getting a light gun game with a full-on arcade with 2 guns. It's super expensive. I super want it. I'm gonna get it. I don't know how to pay for it. This video is sponsored and brought to you by Terminator Dark Fate. So Ubisoft's conference is kind of where I started to kind of go not pay attention because there's only so many things that grabbed my attention. Assassin's Creed Symphony is happening. It's a tour going around across the world. If you like Assassin's Creed, that's a cool thing to check out. Watch Dogs Legion. I really liked Watch Dogs 2, and everyone kind of didn't. But this one seems very fascinating. It's a great step forward in the franchise. You kind of hop from character to character now. You're not just one character, but you kind of create a crew of characters that all have different special abilities and strengths and weaknesses. And there's a permadeath mechanic. So if one of your characters dies, you have to say goodbye to that character and you become someone else. And these characters range from brawlers to hackers. You can even become an old lady who's like a retired mercenary and she just kills people. It's kind of crazy. Finn, Jake, and Princess Bubblegum from the cartoon show Adventure Time are now playable characters in Brawlhalla. Super weird but intrigued. Ghost Recon Breakpoint is a thing, and John Bernthal from The Punisher and Walking Dead, he came out on stage with his dog Bam Bam and announced that he's the main character. It's super weird but intrigued. But this is the part where I kind of tuned out from the Ubisoft conference because they talked a lot about Breakpoint, like way too much. They showed a lot of gameplay and a lot of trailers, but it just kind of went on for a long time. And we obviously got the normal Ubisoft fare with things like Just Dance, more content for The Division. We got a cool game called Roller Champions that's in the works, and Monsters and Gods Breath of the Wild looked all right. But I think the biggest takeaway from it all is that, again, games for a service. Ubisoft now has their own program for their launcher. It's, you know, this we're just going to be using subscription services from now on, and no one's going to buy games. It's super weird. Also, why was there a brand deal for Terminator Dark Fate? All right, so Square Enix, for the first time in years, in my opinion thus far, has had the strongest show. They usually focus on third-party partners and people who are owned by Square Enix, but a lot of the first-party developer stuff has kind of been put to the wayside. Now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally done, there's a bunch of DLC support for that, and Final Fantasy 15's all done, and that's kind of finally come to an end. The only inevitable thing for them to work on that's first party, of course, has to be Final Fantasy VII, the remake. And I was there at the Final Fantasy VII concert when they announced the release date for the remake, and it's March 3rd, 2020. But here's the catch, and this is what people are skeptical on and worried about. It's important to note that this game so far has a kind of weird situation, and that big thing is it's coming out on 2 Blu-ray discs, and it's just the Midgar section of the game, which means that you have 50 gigs times 2 DVD discs, which means 100 gigs worth of game. That's the first 5 hours of Midgard happening here, which means they're either going to take that 5-hour experience and expand it to be 30, 40, 50 hours, hopefully, or this really is just a 5-hour game that is placed between 2 Blu-ray games, or Blu-ray game discs. And I hope that's not the case. I hope there's a lot more content here. I hope the story is there. And I hope the episodic approach that they're taking isn't just the end of what we see in the future of the rest of this. Because if we're going to be playing Final Fantasy VII for the next 10 years, that might be kind of a bummer. But aside from all that, I'm super freaking stoked right now to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have an appointment. I am so ready to play it. The gameplay looks exciting. I was really hoping they'd show off the limit break in the trailer for the gameplay they were showing off, and they did. Braver is now just like a passive ATB thing. They combined both the ATB combat sections with the real-time fighting. It's almost as if they took Final Fantasy 15 combat, Final Fantasy 13 combat, and combined it together to make a unique engine. I think that's really, really sick. You can also change characters on the fly, so it's almost like got a Secret of Mana element to it where you can switch from character to character, and that is really cool. From there, Square Enix came out swinging with a lot of games getting ports, remasters, or overall just being published and distributed by Square Enix first party wise. And that's huge because, again, earlier I said that most of the games they've been doing for the past few years in their conferences have been second and third party companies that they own and work with. And this feels like the first time in a while that we're seeing a lot of first party stuff from Square Enix. Obviously, there's a lot of big games to come out of E3 and their conferences, but the one that everyone was really concerned about or really focused on was Crystal Dynamics' new Marvel Avengers game that's being produced by Square Enix. And it looks cool. I need to see more of the gameplay. I need to see more of what's going on. They have an A-list star video game voice actors who are doing it, you know, like Troy Baker and Nolan North, who obviously voice everything in the games industry. But it's interesting to see because I want to see more of what's going on in this game. There's not enough. Apparently they have free DLC plans rolling out to add new characters, new functions, and new stories. And it just, overall, I'm excited for it. It just looks a little weird because they look like off-brand shoots of the MCU inspirations, but also not. As if it's like they couldn't get Robert Downey Jr., so they got his stunt double, and that's him. They couldn't get Chris Evans, they got his stunt double, and that's him in the game. Same thing for Mark Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson. They could not get the likeness for their actual MCU counterparts, so they kind of just casted their sidekicks or their lookalikes or stunt doubles, which is fine. I think at this point, the designs are still very much inspired by the MCU, and I think it's just going to get more and more interesting as they start rolling out for more content. Holy crap. Okay, so it's morning of E3. I just woke up, and we just watched Nintendo Direct. It's all of us here in the... You can go ahead and show the camera. All of our TOVG crew. If you're at E3 and you see the shirts, that means they are TOVG people, so come say hello. Holy God. The Nintendo Direct today was insane. I have so many emotions and feelings that I can't even process, but I will say some of the obvious outliers. There was no Mario Maker 2 because literally Mario Maker 2 comes out in 2 weeks. I thought it was a smart idea that Nintendo didn't showcase content that's already coming out so soon, and they focused a lot of what was coming out in the near future. One of the strongest things about this Nintendo Direct was that everything they showcased, almost everything they showcased, had a release date within this year or close to even the launch of this whole thing. Canes of Hyrule comes out in like 2 or 3 days. That's crazy. So start off with getting a Smash announcement for the hero from Dragon Quest. I'm not a big... I am a fan of Dragon Quest, don't get me wrong, I am. I'm just not diehard enough to really go in. I know I'm in the top 10 last year, and I do like it, but it's the kind of thing that, I don't know, I don't think it was a perfect fit for Smash, and now that it's here, I'm excited to see what they can do. The fact that you can play as other heroes from the different games is really exciting too, and I'm mostly excited for Alex because I know that he was watching the direct in his apartment and probably having a great time. We got an in-depth look at Luigi's Mansion 3, which looks incredible. I've been playing a lot of Luigi's Mansion 3DS, and to see what was in that announcement trailer and see gameplay and everything compared to what I've been playing on my tiny 3DS makes me very happy, very excited. Luigi co-op, the Horde mode stuff. I'm really stoked for Luigi's Mansion 3. It's gonna be good. Square Enix came out swinging with a remake of Seiken Densetsu 3, aka, I guess now it's called Trials of Mana. It's a 3D remake of the third Mana game, which is fascinating because it looks so much better than Secret of Mana remake on PS4 that we got last year. We also got the Collection of Mana coming. I keep saying Mana and Mana, everyone makes fun of me. I'm gonna say Mana because I love the word Mana. It's coming to Switch, and we get Final Fantasy Adventure for the Game Boy, Secret of Mana for Super Nintendo, and Seiken Densetsu 3, which is now being called the Trials of Mana. So that's super exciting. I cannot wait to play all the games in that pack. I mean, y'all know I love Secret of Mana, so I'm excited to talk about that again soon. We got a deeper look at Link's Awakening. There's a new dungeon building mode, which is pretty exciting. I don't know how it's gonna work, but already I'm very, very interested in how they've changed this game. It looks very faithful, and that's the big thing that I think Nintendo is great at. They're really good at recreating things that they made once before in a faithful way, and I think that's gonna be great when it comes to Link's Awakening. We got an announcement trailer for No More Heroes 3. Suda-san! I love you. I'm so ready. Guys, I got ramen with him a couple of months ago, and when we had ramen, I kept trying to take from him, tell me, is it No More Heroes 3? Is it Shadows of the Damned 2? He would not tell me, no matter how many times I asked, but I could tell he wanted to tell me. He told me at E3 there's gonna be a big announcement for him and his team, and hell yes, No More Heroes 3. The only thing that can be better about this is a port for Switch for No More Heroes 1 and 2. That would be super exciting. We got a pretty low-key reveal for Animal Crossing. I don't know enough about Animal Crossing to say that I'm super excited for it. I've never been an Animal Crossing person, to say the least, but I don't know if the fans are too stoked about it. My Twitter feed's been a lot of people who've been really salty and confused because they can't tell if it's a new Animal Crossing game or if it's something akin to like a side game. And I don't know. I honestly have no clue. I hope that the game makes Animal Crossing fans happy. The nice thing is that the game's coming out next year, which they said it was going to come out this year, but I assumed at this point that they were going to go ahead and move over to next year for the next quarter. Up to this point, I thought Square Enix was my favorite conference, and then we got one more Smash announcement that blew my goddamn mind. I'm just gonna play the clip that Michael Berardi recorded of me to sum up my feelings, because god damn it.
It happened! Let's go! Yeah! Oh my god.
Banjo-Kazooie is in Smash. I cannot believe it! I cannot believe it. I have been tearing up about it. I got goosebumps. The reveal trailer was my favorite thing because you saw, like, it wasn't just Banjo-Kazooie in Smash. It was like you saw Donkey Kong and King K. Rool and Diddy Kong all in the treehouse together, and like when we saw it, we thought it was going to be like a villain reveal, but it was exactly like the Donkey Kong King K. Rool reveal, and you saw the Jiggy go across the floor, and I knew I lost my mind. The movesets look cool. The new model looks great. Spiral Mountain as a stage. Grant, I hope that they got a lot of your music in the game because hot damn, it looks so good. And the fascinating thing is that wasn't even the biggest announcement. Nintendo ended the whole conference with a sequel to Breath of the Wild. I hope it seems, I saw it and immediately I turned everyone and I said, this is like Twilight Princess Majora's Mask feeling. So I hope that whatever this Breath of the Wild is, I'm sure it's gonna be in the same vein and style that we all know and love. So I don't know where they're gonna go from here. Not enough was released in this trailer to kind of show a lot, but to show off, but who knows? I don't know. It's too early to tell. Guys, that was my impression of all of the conferences for the most part. The ones that I watched, the one that I saw, the one that I cared about. Let me know what yours were in the comments down below. Also, I'll be at E3 this weekend, so if this week, whatever, it's been a long week. If you are there, come say hello to us. Come say hello to any of us. We're here to not only work with developers and have meetings, but we'd love to see you guys. Maybe doing a meetup. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thank you very much for watching. You're all awesome. And on Friday, I will be giving you guys our top 10 games of E3 2019. The rule behind that is the game has to be playable. No gameplay. As much as I wanted to put Banjo-Kazooie reveals from 10 to 1, I can't, because unless it's playable. It's not playable, is it? It might be playable. No, it's not playable. But it could be.